Hello dear students, so we shall continue our discussion on subgroups. So in our last class we had seen the definition, so just to recall, let me just write it again. Subgroup of a group, so a set H of a subset, okay, a subset H of a group G is said to be a subgroup of G, said to be a subgroup of G if H is itself a group, with respect to the same operation as in G, okay, operation as in G, okay, then we say that H is a subgroup of G, right. So some examples we have seen. One of the most obvious examples is in any group G is a subgroup of itself, no? Subgroup of itself, because G is also a subset of G, okay, any set is a subset of itself, right. So any group G is also a subgroup of G, okay. So this is called improper subgroup, or these are under the category of trivial subgroups, okay. So another trivial subgroup is singleton E, that is the identity element only, okay, singleton E, that is containing the identity element, is a subgroup, okay, subgroup of the concerned group, okay, concerned. So this identity element will be identity element of some group, okay. So of that concerned group, this is also a subgroup. So this G and singleton E, so they are trivial subgroups, okay, trivial subgroups, okay. Is any group has at least these two subgroups, okay, except for G equal to singleton E itself. If the group is itself singleton E, then it has only one subgroup, that is singleton E itself, okay. So in that case singleton E and G are the same thing, okay. So a group, if a group has more than one element, then it has at least two different subgroups, okay. What are those? G and singleton E, okay. So a group G having more than one element, okay, having more than one element is or has at least two distinct subgroups, they are singleton E and G, okay. At least these two subgroups will always be there in a group having more than one element, and if a group has only one element, that is the identity element, then there is only one subgroup, that is itself, okay. So if G is itself equal to singleton E, okay, then G has only one subgroup, okay, only one subgroup, because there are no other elements itself, okay. So the only subsets of this singleton E are phi and singleton E, null set and singleton E itself, okay. So G has only one subgroup, that is G itself, okay. So these are the trivial subgroups that we have talked about. In our last class we had also seen some other examples of subgroup. If you have the group G equal to 1 omega omega square, there also okay, so there also we had only the trivial subgroups. Okay, because singleton 1 is a subgroup, but 1 omega, this is not a subgroup. Okay, this is not a subgroup. So why? So for a subset to be a subgroup, it has to be a group under the same operation. So for a group, the conditions are it should be closed. Okay, closure property should be satisfied. Associative will be always satisfied because it is satisfied for the larger set. Okay. So associative property is always true for any subset itself. Okay, not only subgroup, any subset of the group, for that associative property is always true. Okay, so we don't have to. There is no point in checking associative property. Okay. The other thing that we can check is whether the identity belongs to this set or not. Okay, identity, whether it is there, whether it is closed, whether it is whether the identity is there, whether inverse of the elements are there or not. Okay, so these three things we have to check. Okay, so let us say G equal to so it's already written 1 omega square with respect to multiplication. Okay, let us take it with respect to multiplication. Okay, then is H equal to omega a subgroup of G? Okay, so this is one question. This may be one more question. Subgroup of G. Okay, is it a subgroup? The answer you will write no. H equal to omega is not a subgroup. Is not a subgroup. Subgroup of G as the identity element. So subgroup should have the identity element because it should form a group, right? So G as the identity 1 doesn't belong to H. Okay, so that is why it's not a subgroup. Another reason is if you take omega from H, then omega into omega, that is omega square. This is not an element inside H. Okay, so it is not closed also. Closure is also not satisfied. Identity is also not there. Okay, so it's just sufficient to show that one of the properties is not satisfied. Okay, a group will be a subgroup if all these properties are satisfied. So it's not a subgroup if at least one of them is not satisfied. Okay, that is the negation. Okay, right. So singleton omega is not a subgroup. Okay, however this is a subgroup. 1 omega is a sorry, this is also not a subgroup. 1 omega check. So check if 1 omega is a subgroup or not. So here what happens is that here identity element 1 belongs to H. Okay, this belongs to H, so there is no problem for this. But omega belongs to H, but so however omega belongs to H, but omega into omega, that is omega square, it doesn't belong to H. Okay, so H is not closed. H is not closed under multiplication. Under the multiplication. Okay, so please remember that the operation in the subgroup is the same as that in the group. Okay, so H is not closed under multiplication. So this H is not a subgroup. Not a subgroup. So similarly 1 omega square is also not a subgroup. Okay, 1 omega square, this is also is not a subgroup. Subgroup of H G. Okay, 1 omega square, this is also not a subgroup of G, right? So this set, this group has only two subgroups. So this 1 omega square has only the trivial subgroups. Okay, only the trivial subgroups. And that is singleton 1 and the set itself, 1 omega square itself. Okay. right? Then we had seen some example of this one, 1 1 I minus I, or 1 minus 1 I minus I, okay, this one. For this we had seen that 1 minus 1, this is a subgroup, okay. It satisfies the closure property, inverse, okay, everything it satisfies. So this is a subgroup. So this set has a proper subgroup, is a subgroup of this G, okay. So let us write G as this with respect to multiplication. Obviously this is a group of fourth roots of unity with respect to multiplication, okay, multiplication of complex numbers. So this 1 minus 1, this is a subgroup of G, okay. So some examples we have seen. Now let us write one theorem, okay, which is also very important, the criterion under which a non-empty subsets will be a subgroup, okay. So let me write this, let G be a group. So all these are important for your exam, okay. So as you watch the videos, please make notes of whatever I am writing. So don't just be dependent on the video, you have to make your own notes, okay. So let G be a group and H be a non-empty subset of G, then H is a subgroup of G if and only if A B inverse belongs to H for all or whenever A comma B belongs to H. Okay, so there are two parts of this theorem. One is suppose that H is a subgroup, then this condition will be satisfied, and the other part is suppose that this condition is satisfied, then we have to show that H is a subgroup, okay. So one way of writing it is this is the multiplicative notation, okay. This is written in multiplicative notation. So it may happen that in the question you may get it in the additive notation, okay. So multiplicative notation, okay, means don't get confused that the operation is multiplication, it's not that, okay. The operation is something else, I do not know what is the operation, okay, just we are denoting it in multiplicative notation. There are two ways of denoting operations in group. One is I write it A plus B, even though this plus may not mean the original plus, okay, addition. So this is called the additive notation. So in your additive notation, your inverse of B will be written as minus B, and in multiplicative notation it's written something like AB, inverse will be written as B inverse, okay. So something like this, okay. So in additive notation we have this condition, that the condition is in both cases is same actually, okay, but in the way of writing is different, okay. So it's actually given any elements in H, the product of or the composition of A with P inverse should be an element inside H, okay, that is the thing. So in additive notation we can write it this way. So I'll do both the cases for you so that it's clear, okay. Even if additive notation is asked in the exam, you will be able to write it, okay. So let G be a group and H be a non-empty subset of G, then H is a subgroup of G, if and only if A minus B belongs to H whenever A comma B belongs to H, okay. So this is the additive notation, okay. So the meaning is same, A B inverse in multiplicative notation, and in additive notation it is something like A plus minus B. In the multiplicative notation it is A dot B inverse, okay. So in both cases what we are doing, we are multiplying A with the inverse of B. Here means we are composing, okay, we are taking the operation, or we are operating A with the inverse of B. Here also we are doing the same thing, we are operating A with the inverse of B. Okay, so this is the thing. So please read this or see this explanation once again, so that you can understand what is the thing matter here. Okay, the matter is just we are changing the notations. Okay, notations means way of writing. Okay. So the idea is same. So proof. So there are two parts of the proof. First let H is a subgroup of G. Okay, first let H is a subgroup of G, right? So what I have to prove? I have to show that A B inverse is in H whenever A and B in H. Okay, so let H be a let H be, okay, be a subgroup of G, and let A comma B belongs to H, be any element, be any elements. Okay, so since H is a subgroup, so by our definition of subgroup, what we can say, so H is itself a group. Okay, subgroup means it is itself a group with respect to the same operation. Okay, group with respect to the same operation as in G. Okay, thus, so since it is a group, what we can say, in a group each element has its inverse. Okay, each element has its inverse. So here A and B are elements of H, and H is a group, we know. So this elements will have their inverse. So, okay, so since B is in H, so B inverse belongs to H. Okay, thus B belongs to H implies B inverse belongs to H. Okay, because H is itself a group, that's why inverse of each element of H is an element in H only. Okay, thus B belongs to H implies B inverse belongs to H. So we have A comma B inverse. Okay, these two elements belong to H. Okay, but since H is closed, okay, H is a group, so it is closed with respect to the operation. Okay, with respect to the operation, okay, with respect to the given operation. So what does it mean? Hence A B inverse, okay, this is an element inside H. Okay, so this is what we have proved. We have started with two elements of H, and we have shown that A B inverse belongs to H. Okay, so first part is proved, right? So please go through this proof once again. How we have proceeded, we have taken H, A and B be two elements inside H. Since H is a subgroup, so H is itself a group with respect to the same operation as in H, as in G. So thus B belongs to H implies B inverse belongs to H. So we have A B inverse, A comma B inverse, they belong to H. Okay, they means the A and B inverse are two elements of H. Okay, but we know that H is closed because H is already a group. So since H is closed with respect to the given operation, so we can write A B inverse is in H, right? That way we can write. Conversely, let A B inverse, or conversely let H be a non-empty subset of G such that A B inverse is in H whenever A comma B is in H. Okay, we have to show that H is a subgroup. Okay, to show H is a subgroup of G. Okay, H less than or equal to G. Okay, the meaning of this is H is a subgroup of G. Subgroup of G. Okay, so let us try to prove it. So we are given that H is a non-empty set. Okay, this is we are given that, and we are given that whenever A and B are in H, A B inverse should be in H. Okay. So since A is so first of all we need to show the existence of the identity element. Okay, let us check whether the identity element belongs to H or not. Okay, if the identity element doesn't belong, then H is not a subgroup. Okay, so since H is not equal to phi, non-empty means not equal to phi. So H is non-empty means what? It has at least one element. So there exists an element. There exists an element A in H. Okay, we know that H is non-empty, so it will have some element A. Okay. So by the hypothesis, okay, what does the hypothesis say? If A comma B is in H, then A B inverse is in H. So here I have got A in H. So A comma A means I take A twice. Okay, A is the one element I have got. I can always take A and compose it with A. Okay, or some other form of A. Right. So that is what I am doing. So by the hypothesis, we see that A inverse belongs to H, right? A inverse is an element of H. Okay, that is, but what is A inverse? A inverse is identity in G. Okay, because A is an element of G only, right? So A inverse is the identity element. Okay, but A inverse equal to E, the identity in G, into identity in G. Okay, so thus E belongs to H. Okay, so that is H has the identity element. Okay, H has the identity. So one property we have checked. Right. Next, I have to check the closure property. Okay. First, I have shown the identity property. So observe that I cannot show the closure property unless I show something like this here. First, I have to find out the first I have to find out this existence of identity. Okay. Yeah, then immediately I cannot show the closure property also. Okay, but we have to first proceed to showing inverse, right? Given A and B in H, whether A dot B is in H or not. Okay, that's tough. As of now, this is tough. So let us see whether we can find out the inverse. Okay, show that the inverse is in H. Okay. So now let A belongs to H, be any element. Okay. Be any element. So we have, so just now we have shown E comma A, they are elements in H. Okay, thus by the hypothesis, what can we say? E A inverse. So E and A are elements in H. So E A inverse is in H. Okay, this is what the hypothesis says. So this implies. But what is E A inverse? It is A inverse only. A inverse belongs to H. Since E A inverse, this is same as A inverse. Okay, any element multiplied with identity element is the element itself. Okay, so here E is the identity element. So that is A inverse belongs to H. Okay, so what I have proved, we so every element of H has inverse. Okay, so inverse we have shown. Next we will show the this closure property. Now let A comma B belongs to H. Then so see we have this fact that A inverse B belongs to H. Whenever A and B are in H, A B inverse is in H. Okay, but from there how can I get AB? So one thing I can do is, just now I have shown that every element of H has inverse. So in particular this element B that I have taken, it will have its inverse. Okay. Then by above B inverse is in H. Okay, B inverse is in H. So A comma B inverse, this is in H. Hence by hypothesis, so we will apply the hypothesis again. Hence by the hypothesis, A B inverse, so A and B inverse are elements of H. So A operated with B inverse whole inverse. Okay, this is in H. Okay, so this means that is A, but what is B inverse whole inverse? It is B itself. Okay, B inverse whole inverse is B itself. Okay, so that is AB is in H. So whether I had done this result or not, I do not know. I don't remember. Okay, we will just see. Okay, B inverse whole inverse is actually B. For any element, inverse of the inverse is the element itself. Okay, so that, okay, we'll do it very simply. Okay, so that is, so here we have proved that therefore H is closed. Okay, with respect to the given operation, with respect to the operation in G. Okay, so all this with respect to the operation in G. Okay, so in your exam it might come as A star B inverse. Okay, the system is same, just you have to write star everywhere. Okay, so here something like A star B inverse whole inverse. Okay, so please try to cope up with those notational changes. Okay, instead of A B inverse, in the exam you might be given A star B inverse. Okay, or say some other symbol, something like A O B inverse. Okay, so this logic is same. Okay, you have to do it exactly this way. So be careful about the notation. If it is given star in the question, you use that star. If it is just given as AB inverse, just do it this way. Okay. So we have proved three properties: existence of identity, existence of inverse, and the closure property. Okay. So next thing is we have to write something about associativity. So let A, B, C belongs to H. Then since H is a subset of G, okay, H is already given to be a subset of G, so A, B, C, they are actually elements of G. Therefore A star B star C. Okay, star is sorry, I should not write star because we have not used star here. So A into B into C, this is equal to AB into C. Okay, since G has associative property. Okay, so associative property, it gets carried over to every subset. Okay, so since G has associative, so therefore H has associative property. So we have ultimately verified all the properties which makes H a group. Hence H is itself a group. Okay, H is a group. Hence H is a group, that is H is a subgroup. So H is itself a group. Okay, itself a group, and that is H is a subgroup of G. So this is what we have proved, subgroup of G. Okay, okay, so this is how we have proved. So this is also called one step subgroup test. Okay, if we want to test whether a given set is a subgroup or not, it is just sufficient to check whether AB inverse is in H whenever A and B are in H. Okay, that is the thing. So now if you want to do it in this additive notation, let us do that. Okay, the proof in additive notation. Proof in additive notation. Okay, so in exam you have to do it only in one way. So if it comes as an additive notation, you do it in additive notation. If it comes as this multiplicative notation, you do it that way. Okay, if it comes at something like A star B inverse, then also you do it the same way. Just take care of the this, operation, okay, the symbol for the operation. So in additive notation, let us try to prove. Right. So first let observe these things are all same. First let H be a subgroup of G. Okay, H is less than or equal to G. So let A comma B belongs to H, be any element, Okay. So since H is a subgroup, so it is itself a group. So H is actually itself a group, okay, with respect to the same operation as in G. Okay. So this B belongs to H will imply that minus B belongs to H. Okay. In additive notation, minus B is inverse of B. Okay. So minus B belongs to H. Thus A comma minus B belong to H, but H is closed. Okay. H is already given to be a group because H is a subgroup, but H is closed. Okay, but H is closed, so A plus minus B. Okay, A plus minus B, this is in H. Okay, that is A minus B, this is in H. Okay, so this is the notation. A plus minus B is the symbol for means A minus B is the symbol for A plus minus B. Okay, like that. Just like A B inverse, it is the symbol for A star B inverse. Okay, something like this. So that way we can write A minus B belongs to H. Right. So we have proved it. The other converse part, conversely let H be a non-empty subset of G such that A minus B belongs to H whenever A B belongs to H. Okay, so we have to show that this H is a subgroup of G. Okay, we have to show this, right? So first of all, since H is non-empty, that means what? There exists an element. So there exists an element A inside H. Okay, right? So we can use the fact that, so by hypothesis, A minus A, this belongs to H. Okay, but what is A minus A? A minus A is E. Okay, this E belongs to H, where E is the identity in G. Okay, so A minus A, do not write it as 0. You can write it as 0 also, no problem. But usually we denote it by E in case of groups. Okay, in case of vector spaces we denote it by 0. Okay, so here let us write E. B belongs to H, where E is the identity in G. Okay, thus H has the identity element. Okay, H has the identity element. So this is exactly how we have done for the multiplicative notation. Okay, so for additive notation also, first we have to show that H has identity. Next we will show that every element has inverse. Okay, let A belongs to H, be any element, then we have E comma A, they also belong to H. Okay, so by hypothesis we can write E minus A, this is in H. Okay, E minus A is same as minus A, this is in H. Okay, because E is identity, since E minus A, this is same as minus A. Okay, So minus A belongs to H. So therefore every element in H has inverse in H. Okay. So this is also satisfied. Next I have to show the closure property. Okay, so let A comma B belongs to H, then minus B belongs to H. Okay, so therefore A comma minus B, they belong to H. So therefore by hypothesis we can say A minus minus B, this is in H. Okay, so what is that? A minus minus B, this is another notation for this. So minus of minus B is actually B only. Okay, so it's plus B is in, oh sorry, yeah, A plus B, this is in H. Okay, since minus of minus B, that is inverse of minus B is B itself. Okay, so therefore H is closed. H is closed with respect to the operation in G. In G. So everything we have shown, just the associative, whatever we have written here, that will be valid. Okay. So for associative we just take this one. Okay. So here we have shown H is closed. Next is A belongs to, oh sorry, which one I have taken? I have to take the associative one. No? Yeah, this one. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah. So let ABC belongs to H, be any element. Then we have this. Then since H is a subset of G, so A, B, C, they are also elements in G. Okay. So they will satisfy the associative property. A plus B plus C, this will be equal to A plus B plus C. Okay. So H has associative properties, hence H is itself a group, that is H is a subgroup of G. Okay. So this is the proof. So I have done both the systems, additive as well as multiplicative. Okay. So we have another theorem, another subgroup test, which also we will prove. Okay. So I am not writing the statement now, we will prove it in the next lecture, right? Thank you.